Hey, there it is. All right, guys. Like I said, the phone lines is open. We're not gonna sit here and be talking for like 10, 20, 30 minutes. Let's try to keep this short and sweet so we can, if there's other people that want to call, they can have a chance to call. But once again, this is about Jasmine Crockett and James Tallarico. If you do agree, you disagree, whatever your woes are, let me know. Let's have that conversation and be respectful. Don't be an asshole. 'Cause guess what? I could be an asshole too, but I'm not trying to do that. Today's a beautiful Wednesday. Can we keep it beautiful today? I actually used to have taken phone calls before, but I stopped because I gotten sick and my voice was really messed up. So I stopped taking calls, and probably last week I started it up again. So keep an eye out on James. He might be a double agent. Well, like I said, I didn't like either of them. And that's strictly based on policies. Let's see. Calling from an 832. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Ali. I'm calling from Houston, Texas.
You say Ali?
Yeah.
All right, cool. If you can, I'm not sure. It's a little hard to hear you, and I have you turned up all the way, and it's just a little hard to hear you.
Is that better?
It's a little better. I'm gonna have to turn up my speaker here. But Mr. Ali from Houston, Texas, what would you like to talk about?
Yeah, I was watching your stream and I actually voted for Tallarico.
Oh, you voted for Tallarico, and what made you want to vote for Tallarico, if you mind me asking?
Um, to be quite honest with you, I'm down here in Texas, man. I'm in tune to politics, federal and state, local too.
Okay.
Um, the I hate them. I hate politics too, my man. uh, but the fact is that her district got gerrymandered out,
Yeah.
right? So to me, it was a craven move, And I got a little following, hometown following on Facebook, and they, roast me about it because I'm supposed to support the black woman. I'm like, nah, I'm supposed to support somebody who's gonna win.
Okay. So
And quite frankly, she lost the Hispanic. What she lost that is the Hispanic vote in South Texas. That's what she lost.
yeah. So if you mind me asking, and like you say, when it comes to the demographics of the voters, she got like what 87% of black voters. Tallarico got like the same amount of white voters, and it really came down to the Hispanic voters, and Tallarico won the Hispanic voters by a decent margin.
Yes, sir.
So my question uh to you is, what made you vote for Tallarico?
Tallarico.
And in
Because I
regards,
looked at.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, no. I just want to get more specific on why you think he would win versus her not being able to win.
Yes, sir. So what Tallarico is up against, what Jasmine Crockett would have been up against, regardless. The Republicans, people don't know this, but they dumped $2 million into Jasmine Crockett around a week before Election Day. We were still early voting out here. That's why you saw a lot of those returns come in, and he had like so many votes, and it was early. That was all the early vote.
Mm.
But what I'm on the left. I'm with you pretty much. I'm as left as Bernie, and I'm that's me. That's me personally.
Okay.
But Tallarico, that let me know strategically, if the Republicans are investing in Jasmine Crockett, that's who they want to win. Follow the money. You follow the money. In politics, that's the ultimate answer. Follow the money.
And I didn't hear anything about Republicans dumping a bunch of money. Evangeline, if you're listening, can you maybe find that article or find some sort of source for that? Because that'd be interesting. I didn't even hear about that. I mean, once again, I don't live in Texas, so I don't have, the type of ears on the ground. But that'd be crazy.
I knocked on doors for Beto O'Rourke.
Ah, damn. Okay. I remember him.
So I got pictures on my Facebook of me doing it. So yeah, I've been in tune to Texas politics, federal politics too, but I've been in tune to Texas politics.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to be too long because I know you got to take up the call. But the fact is, Ken Paxton is an indicted, I don't want to say old guy, and politics is going younger.
Yeah.
Even older people, I got a 75-year-old mom, and she got friends. All of them want younger people in government.
Yeah.
So Tallarico, young, pardon my French, white guy, Christian, wears his religion on his sleeve.
Yeah.
Agree or disagree, he's going to get ears because of that in Texas. It's a Bible Belt.
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine Crockett is not that. She ran on, basically, I get on Trump's nerves.
Yeah.
And that's not enough.
It is not. Once again, Mr. Ali from Houston, once again, I appreciate you calling and supporting the channel and watching the content. And, I'm going to start doing these calls a lot more. So, once again, feel free to call in whenever the phone lines are open. But once again, I appreciate you calling.
Nice show, man. Take it easy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Evangeline, if you can find the article where I guess Republicans dumped a bunch of money to Jasmine Crockett. Now, once again, I never want to run with a story that's not verified. But go ahead and look that up. But I think that's a good point. Which I'm pretty sure we're gonna get into. Calling from a 225 number. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm Robert. I'm calling from Baton Rouge, man. Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Hey,
how's everything going for you?
Hey, it's going so far so good. I can't complain. Hopefully the rest of the live stream is this good. But once again, shoot, what would you like to talk about?
I'd like to talk about the Jasmine Crockett James Tallarico race.
Yeah.
I'd like to start off. There's a really great video that J.S. Candid did. She's a sister who covers a lot of political topics and political commentary and current events. You should really check her out, maybe do something with some of her content. She broke down how there was intentional miscommunication that occurred during this race where there was supposed to be like countywide voting where you would be able to go and vote at any polling place in order to cast your vote. Well, last minute, a good number of stuff got changed. So you had a large number of black voters actually have their votes, like when they went to a lot of polling places, they were turned away because it wasn't their polling place.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, cool. They were supposed to be given a provisional ballot.
Yep.
They were not given provisional ballots. And then after that occurred, like when they were supposed to be rerouted or be given instructions as to their particular voting places, and many people had to go to 2, maybe 3 different polling locations and like just to be turned away. It got so bad that they had to extend the voting, like the time of the voting polls by 2 hours. And the governor basically stated, look, anybody who got in line after 7 o'clock, even though we did a 2 hour extension, put their votes to the side. Like, look, I was having a discussion with, basically going on back and forth online with the comments.
Yeah.
With people in different comments. And I've noticed from a lot of these white creators, especially those purporting to be liberal, talking about, Jasmine Crockett lost because she made comments about slave mentality. She made comments about, this about immigrants, or negative comments about immigrants. And I've personally gone through a lot of the stuff that she's talked about in interviews or the things that she stated at public addresses.
Yeah.
And they're literally clipped to hell. And one of the big things that they talked about was, she talked about Hispanic people, working out in the fields and being anti-immigration. And when I watched the entirety of this video, she did I think she had like a 30-minute long speech that she did at her church.
Yeah.
And she spoke about Black people do not allow anti-Hispanic and anti-immigrant sentiment to cause you to treat Hispanic people in a worse light, because the same propaganda that they are using against them currently is the same propaganda they used against us for hundreds of years during slavery, post-slavery, during Reconstruction, during Jim Crow. Do not allow anti-immigration and Hispanic rhetoric to cause you to judge these people like unharsh. So literally from the moment that her seat was eliminated as a House representative and she decided to run for the Senate, I have seen so many clips of her taken out of context, none of which I have seen James Tallarico address. I didn't see James Tallarico talk about he didn't think that it was right about the polling discrepancies.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you, and we got to make this short so I can make sure I get a few calls in. But I definitely understand that. And when you're gonna run for any like leadership position, especially in politics today, I mean, that's a given. You know your opposition, whether they're Democrats with you or Republicans, or just because someone doesn't like the color of your skin or that you're a woman, people are going to do that. They've done that with Democrats, from liberals to progressives. So that is a given. And seeing how Trump was able to win 2 times, saying the most outrageous, crazy things. I don't think what Jasmine Crockett said, which some of the stuff I actually agree with. Like some of the things that are not that far gone crazy. But I think there was other reasons why people didn't vote for her, and not just because they seen some, major
could you
clips.
name, let's say, what are your top 2 things that you think they didn't vote for her?
So as a progressive, which once again, I can't read other people's hearts, only from what I can perceive and the information that I have. One, liberals who voted wanted someone safe. They wanted a safe pick. And then 2,
and safe, we both know safe means white. Let's be honest.
But that and 1, that has nothing to do with progressives. This is liberal ideology. This is liberal thinking. Liberals have been doing this for decades, always going with the safest pick. That's number 1. And that's an issue that I've been constantly pointing out for a year now. That's 1. And 2, in my opinion, Jasmine, her policies were all right. They were cool. It didn't excite people. And I can give you examples of, other progressive candidates that actually won in tough areas, that actually advocated for really bold policies. And like I said, I read her policy page from top to bottom late at night, and it was cool. I really liked her healthcare plan. She says she's for Medicare for all. That's what I loved. But everything else, it wasn't exciting. So those are my top 2 reasons on why people didn't vote for her.
I can understand where you're coming from. It's half, like you said, liberals wanting someone quote unquote safe, and also too, she wasn't engaging enough on the progressive side.
Yeah.
This is my personal issue that I have. Like, you are correct that she should have been much more progressive on a lot of other things. But also, too, what a lot of people said they disliked about her was that she took corporate PAC money, and that she took, basically big money donors.
Yeah.
And when I would bring up that Tallarico, well, no, I'm saying Tallarico took almost $100K from Zionists like Miriam Adelson.
Yeah.
They don't care about that.
So
he's taking money from the gambling lobby. They don't care about that.
Well,
like,
let me put this into perspective, because I'm hearing this a lot, and I need people to understand. And this is for both of them. And once again, if I could use something as a leverage, I would. But I gotta be fair. When it comes to Tallarico receiving the money from Adelson for for the casino or whatever, that was before his Senate run. Jasmine Crockett also took crypto money and other corporate money, but this was before her Senate run. So if we're going to judge them on what they did before their Senate run, both of them are shady as hell. And I don't like any politician receiving money. So they lose my respect off bat. But regarding to their Senate
they weren't going to hold it
run,
against Tallarico. But they're not going to hold it against Tallarico. I've had this discussion. They do not hold it against Tallarico. Like, it's something about Tallarico. No, look, dude, a lot of these progressives.
Nah.
Like, I have had these conversations with a lot of people who purport to be progressive, who talk like it's something about, well, you have to understand Tallarico was in a lower race. You have to understand, like, everybody has to take PAC money at first to get their name out.
I will
like,
end it,
dude, there's a large number of these individuals who, like, if Jasmine Crockett does it, they have an issue. Because I truly believe they think a black person, especially a black woman, must be beyond reproach, but they expect or allow for a certain level of corruption from a white candidate.
Yeah,
we saw this partially in the Omar Fateh race versus Jacob Fry.
Yeah,
all of the stuff that Jacob Fry that people complained about, Omar Fateh was running to fix that.
Yeah,
and they allowed Omar Fateh's endorsement to be taken away and for his advertisement money to be frozen.
Okay,
they tried to do the same thing to Zoran.
Let me just correct the record here. One, you say you spoke to a progressive. I want you to have them come speak to me, because I've probably spoken and still do speak to a lot of progressives worldwide. I speak to a lot of progressives, and any hint that you mess with any sort of Zionist on any level, that's an automatic no. Real progressives don't mess with that. So I don't know what fake progressives you were speaking to. 9 times out of 10, they don't even know what a progressive is. And more than likely, they're just another liberal that's just confused with the facts. Because any real progressive that I know don't mess with no Zionist money. That's you can advocate for Medicare for all. You can advocate for higher wages, but you mess around and take AIPAC money or Israel money, that's a no-go. So I would check whoever you speaking to, and 9 times out of 10 they lying to you. So I hope that's not your best friend, because they lying to you on that one. But young man, I definitely appreciate you calling.
Thank you very much for accepting the call, man.
Yes sir, yes sir. You have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Yep. All right, once again, guys, yeah, when it comes to progressives, I am a progressive myself. So we need to make sure we're drawing these lines very clear, because the easy scapegoat is going to be blame it on the progressives. Blame it on the progressives. They don't never want to talk about their liberals, but they just want to blame it on the progressives. Let's see. Okay.
Progressives. They don't never
Calling
want to talk
from
about our liberals.
a I actually
They
didn't
just
get it.
want to.
Tell me where you calling from and what's your name?
My name is Travell. I'm calling from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Travail, Wisconsin. Hey, what's going
Yeah.
on? And shoot, tell me what you think.
Well, I got a broader point. My point is basically about the Democratic Party. I have issue with the way that they do things when it comes to black people. And I mean black people that want to be moved up in leadership. And the reason why I say that is because we're always good to do the labor work for them. But when it comes to us getting up and trying to work within leadership, it's always a question about electability. And to me, that's a dog whistle
No, yeah, for sure.
on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the campaign stuff that was going on against Jasmine Crockett was typical Democrat playbook. We can go back to Obama before he beat Clinton, beat Hillary Clinton in the what's her name, the primary way back then.
Yeah.
We can go back to some of the situations that Stacey Abrams, how she built that infrastructure in Georgia, and how they kind of like Democrats didn't get behind her like that. We can even go to what Joe Biden said on the Breakfast Club, with pretty much telling black people,
Yeah, if you don't vote for me, you're not black.
Exactly. So I gotta tell you're the better choice out of you and Trump. Like, and I'm tired of it coming down to that. And I think it's time for something very radical for black people to build a correlation across and get something together where we can get value for our votes. Because I think we have a lot of value, but the thing is, we're being told who is going to run for our vote and what we should or shouldn't accept. And I think until we take our power back, and my plan is to take a step back, to take several steps forward, because I think when our ancestors
Well, hold on one second. Let me ask you a question before you continue, because you hit on something very important, and I need people to understand that there is a distinction within the Democratic Party. Just like Republicans, not all of them are MAGA. Like, I'm not sure how politically inclined you are, but there's never Trumpers. There's your old school Republicans, your Bush Republicans. Then you have MAGA. So the same with the Democratic Party. You have your moderates, you have your neoliberals, then you have your progressives. I'm a progressive.
Correct.
So when you say Democrats, who are you specifically talking to?
Okay. What I'm specifically or basically saying, I'm talking about establishment politics.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, I don't know, when I say establishment, I don't know which branches of those ones you just named that includes, but establishment means like we go for prototypical safe picks. We do certain things a certain way. You don't quite look, as far as identity, you don't look like the type of person that we normally do this, so we're kind of thrown off by it, that type of thing. And the thing that bothers me is that as a black person, it's like I know Republicans don't like black people for the most part. I'm not saying all of them. I'm never going to paint with a brush like that. Not all of them, but their party, the things that they say, the things they represent, their policies and all that type of stuff, they really could care less about black people. Even the ones that even try to get in their good graces, they don't care about those ones either.
Yeah.
But my thing is that I believe the Democrats really don't care for us either. But they play a little song and dance type of thing to try to see can they carry us over and get us to say, well, we're better than the other option type of thing. So just pick us. And I think we're better than that as a people. I think we come too far and that our vote actually carries weight. And the only way where we can make it so we get the things that we want to be represented from the people who represent us is if we withhold that rubber stamp of, oh, I'm going to vote for you just because you're a Democrat, and I don't want to be behind anything Republican. Because to tell you the truth, we're not getting anything right now by doing that.
Yeah. So
we're getting nothing right now by doing that.
So I agree with you. I agree with about like 89% because I'm to the point to where if a politician, and I even have a shirt that says earn our vote. I mean, that's a shameful, plug right there. If you guys want the merch, go ahead and get it. But I am of the mindset that nobody owns my vote.
Right.
Democrats, Joe Biden, Harris, just because I'm black, do not count on me just to vote for you. I need you to present policies that will turn me on, that will make me excited to vote for you. And I've been advocating for this for about a year now. So one thing that I would like for us to understand is when it comes to the establishment Democrats that you're pointing out, and that's the Joe Biden, the Harrises, the Gavin Newsoms, the Pete Buttigieg, that's all they do. That's all they know. They operate in a certain box and they can't step out of it. I am a progressive because they present and advocate for policies that will benefit the black community. That's what I want. You see what I'm saying? And they advocate for this.
Okay, so is Bernie Sanders a progressive?
Yes, Bernie Sanders is a progressive.
Okay. I like Bernie Sanders. I like Bernie Sanders. And they try to call him radical and say a lot of stuff, but I like him. I just feel like they want to control taxpayer money. So they say things are radical because they don't want it to go to certain things. They would rather give the higher earners more money, more grace and stuff as far as that than to be able to help the lower people that are trying to move up in this world. And to me, honestly, and I'm a big proponent of voting. I have voted every year that I've been able to vote so far. But I am getting to a point where I'm starting to look for certain candidates. And I'm an independent. So I guess I have a progressive thinking. I'm leaning progressive as far as my approach, but I'm an independent. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I have voted Democrat, obviously, because Republicans have given me no option. So I voted Democrat, but I'm tired of that, man. I really am. And I'm tired of seeing the way that they use us until we get to a place where they start to throw out the terms of unelectable or stuff like that. I'm like, damn. So she was good enough to be a congresswoman, but because now she wants to step into the Senate, now she's unelectable? Okay.
Now,
I don't know what you're trying to say, but okay.
No, I hear you though. And I'm gonna end with this because I probably want to take in one more call before I get into my segment. And you make a good point. And this is what I need people to understand. I can't say it enough. I'm probably going to die in my deathbed screaming this out. When it comes to that conversation, you're talking about electability, which is code word for the safest pick. And out of Jasmine, Crockett, and Tallarico, his skin and his religion is quote unquote the safest pick. So let's just be honest. Now, that type of mindset, that type of thinking is liberal thinking. When it comes to liberals, which I've been fighting on this channel since, like I said, since about 2 years. I've only been on YouTube for 2 years. That has been my fight against liberals. Stop trying to pick the safest person. We're not living in a world where the safest pick is going to get us to where we need, because people have been hurting under these safe picks. When it comes to Joe Biden, when it comes to Obama, black folks haven't increased in wealth dramatically that is worth bragging about. So when it comes to this safe pick that we're going to be talking about with Jasmine Crockett for probably the next week or two, I need you to understand, progressives don't play that. Progressives don't do the safe pick. We go for the underdogs. We go for the ones that advocate for bold policies regardless of what people say, regardless of what people think. That's what a progressive advocates for. So when you hear someone say electability, I bet you their punk ass is a liberal. And I don't play that. I just want us to understand that. I just want you to understand that.
Yeah.
But
I like that.
But once again, I appreciate you calling and speaking your mind, and I appreciate that.
1969, Taco Johnson.
Okay.
Biden.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
All right, calling from a 516. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name's Cameron and I'm calling from Long Island, New York.
Cameron from Long Island, New York. Shoot, what would you like to talk about?
Well, definitely the Crockett Tallarico race. And there's so much I can say about this one. Where do I start? Well, first of all, I just want to say I don't look at this as liberal versus progressive because I'm just so well. I'm not upset because here's the thing. I like both candidates. I think they both have their strengths and weaknesses. I'm going to say I think Jasmine would have done a lot better job, even though James won the Hispanics. I think the Hispanics are so sick to their stomach about what they're seeing with ICE. They would have voted regardless. But black people, that black vote is going to be really crucial. And I think Jasmine would have done a lot better job. I've seen black people say that they're not going to vote for James. And I think when it's all said and done, if James does lose this, I think somebody else made this point. People are right. If James loses because he doesn't win over that black vote the way Crockett did, they are going to blame black voters because they always need somebody to blame. And let's be real, 10 times out of 10, it is usually us.
So before you continue, why would black voters in Texas not vote for James Tallarico?
Well, honestly, that's a good question. I mean, I'm just going based off what I've seen, what I've heard.
I know, but once again,
but that
I hear what you're saying, and I've been seeing that all day, and to me, that is being intellectually lazy. That is playing on a surface level, and in politics, you can't be playing on the surface. You got to get into the mud. You got to get your work boots on and get into the details. Why would black folks grudgingly not vote for a Democrat because a black woman didn't win? Does that sound pretty stupid to you?
No, here's the thing.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Can we be honest here? That would be a stupid reason not to vote.
No, number one, I do think that a lot of black voters did believe what that Colin Allred had to say. Well, Colin Allred didn't say it himself. That TikToker said it, but it got more publicity because Colin Allred came out and made a comment about it. Jasmine Crockett also said to some extent that she believes it. And I do think that a lot of black voters did believe that story. Number two, I actually heard this the other day from somebody, and I thought this was a very interesting comment. Republicans fall in line, Democrats fall in love. And what that pretty much means is that Republicans will vote for anybody. You think that in 2016, Trump was who most Bush-era, Reagan-era Republicans wanted at the time? Absolutely not. But that's who ended up winning because Republicans, they fell in line. Yeah. I mean, this Republican Party is nothing like what the old Republican Party used to be. Ronald Reagan granted amnesty to immigrants. I think those were undocumented immigrants because I'm pretty sure that's how amnesty works.
Yep.
That's not what we're seeing today. But Republicans fall in line, Democrats fall in love to the point where these are why, even back in 2016, you had theories that, and I don't know if there was any truthfulness about these, that Bernie Sanders voters just weren't voting for Hillary Clinton because especially because like I think there's such a divide between progressives and liberals. But in this case, here's the thing: the reason why I said earlier, in this case, I don't think it's necessarily a divide between progressives and liberals because I think that their policies are like I think they're both progressive, and I don't think that I think I look at this just Democrats in Texas, period. Whether you're progressive and liberal, I think everybody to some extent was voting this based off electability. So I don't blame progressives. I don't blame liberals as one. I just blame Democrats as a whole. And it's unfortunate because I think my party in the state of Texas, I'm from New York, but I think that my party in Texas, my Democrats, I think a lot of them were being brainwashed. Because here's the thing, right? And somebody talked about, and I say that specifically as it relates to Republicans, they want Jasmine Crockett to be the nominee. Here, I think that's where there was a lot of let's say confusion about what was actually the case, because somebody said they poured millions of dollars into her campaign, but are we going to talk about the millions of dollars that they spent in attack ads against her? I don't see, and I don't know what the logic is, but I think this is just I don't know when logic started flipping. Like, for example, I don't know when America First meant getting into a war with Iran, but I don't know when we started saying that if you're spending attack ads on somebody that you want to win, you're doing that because you think it's going to elevate their base. I don't understand when we started doing that. I would think that if Republicans really wanted Jasmine to win, they would be doing everything in their power to help her be the candidate. They can say all day long, yes, we want Jasmine to win. But why would they really say that if that would only cause more people to want to vote for Tallarico? Like, am I wrong about that? If you're going to keep saying, that's why usually I've seen like Democrats or Republicans, they're usually very quiet about who they want to see from the opposition party. If you want one candidate to win, like, for example, I think Crockett and Tallarico both wanted Paxton to win because he would be the most unelectable. But if they were to say that out loud, wouldn't that only cause more Republican voters to vote for Crockett, vote for Cornyn? So that's what I'm saying, right? I think that there was some games being played where pretty much I don't think Republicans wanted Crockett to be the nominee. I don't see why they would have spent all that money. I just don't see why they would say that they do if that would only cause people who believe it. Like, I think everybody talking about this electability, it's because to some extent they believed that Crockett really couldn't do anything with Republicans and that they really just weren't afraid of her. I think they were being fooled into thinking that because Republicans were saying that, but Republicans saying that ultimately only caused Tallarico to win. And I think that's what the intended result was. That's just what I think.
So when it comes to and with the news with Republicans dumping millions of dollars to Crockett, I just heard that. To be honest, I honestly don't really care. Because like I said, they both have some questionable decisions that they've made before running for Senate, Tallarico and Crockett. So as a progressive who supports candidates that do not take no type of outside money, those are the type of candidates I support. So in regards to that, they already lost that for me. But in regards to a bunch of Republican strategies trying to, upstir people by saying, oh, we want to go against Jasmine Crockett because she's easier. And then I heard some reporting on the opposite, that they wanted. I don't really care about that. At the end of the day, Tallarico and Crockett, their job is to speak to their voters, is to speak to people of Texas. And when it comes to Jasmine Crockett, she did not do a good job at that. Like I said, I watched hours upon hours of her interviews, of her street conversations. She did a poor job at doing that. And if you look at the data, which I hope a lot more comes out in the future, when it comes to black voters, she got about 87 to 88% of black voters. When it comes to white voters, 9 times out of 10, white liberals, they voted for Tallarico. And with the Hispanic vote, it was almost 50-50, but a little bit more favored for Tallarico. That tells you something. And I know you don't like the identity politics. I know you say, you don't care about liberal, progressive, or none of that. But looking at that there alone should give you worry about the state of the Democratic voters. Like you say, if we are going to continue to just vote our color, if you're just going to vote for Tallarico because he's white, and you're going to vote for Crockett because he's black, and we're not talking about policies, to me, that is what is going to hinder Democrats, not Republicans, not progressives. It's that mindset of, I'm going to just vote for and support Crockett because she's black. That is a problem to me. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about that. They just want to say, hey, Crockett lost because of Tallarico. She lost because of Republicans. She lost because of progressives. But they don't want to talk about how divisive the Democratic Party is in regards to race and not policies, which I advocate for. I don't care who it is. I want good policies. I don't care if you're black or white or Hispanic. If you got good policies, I'm going to support you. And that's not what liberals talk about.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was a complete lack of policy. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think she should have talked about her policy more. But what I also think is that policy, unfortunately, it seems like it wasn't on the minds of so many not progressives, not liberals, Democratic voters in Texas who were so concerned about this electability, which I think tied a lot into the race issue. And I think that this whole electability thing was if the Republicans really wanted Tallarico, which I believe that they did, or maybe they were equally scared, but I don't think that it's fair to say that you saw a deliberate effort from them to try to make Crockett the candidate, and I listed out all my reasons why. But this electability issue is really where the Republicans were able to get their foot in the door with Democratic voters, trying to say that they wanted Crockett to be the candidate, which would make Democratic voters want to vote for Tallarico. Yeah. So if they really wanted that, I don't see why they would do that. And I think that's ultimately what it was for so many people, too many people.
Yeah.
Thinking about because their policy, I think their policy wise, they're very similar. So that's another reason why I say
they are.
Even if you're progressive, you're not worried about how much are you worried about policies when you have two candidates who are very similar in policy? I think the electability issue was on the minds of so many people. I think that the PACs was too, but that's another issue where I don't think they were being very fair, because you can talk about what they did before their respective races, with Tallarico taking the Adelson money. Crockett has taken crypto money. I do believe though that she representing a congressional district, that there are limits because they know that they take money on behalf of the employees in their district. So that was interesting. But we should also talk about how all the ads, attack ads towards Crockett were in part sponsored by super PACs that were in favor of James Tallarico. Even if you don't talk about the Republican attack ads, even though because they say Republicans supposedly they wanted her. But if you look at all the attack ads from Tallarico, a lot of them are done by super PACs. And yes, he condemned them. He claims to have condemned them. But I remember in 2018 when Beto ran, there were attack ads in favor of him too, and he was able to get them taken down. So I don't know if there was that much of an effort from the Tallarico campaign to get those attack ads taken down.
Yeah.
But I think this is once again another issue that was on the minds of voters that doesn't relate to policy, but that either way was never going to work out in Jasmine's favor, which is unfortunate.
And once again, I majorly push back on that because once again, Mamdani and it's a few other people of color that won in their district that was really tough, and they were running on a progressive platform. I forget their name at the moment. They just won like not too long ago, like a month ago. But if you look at someone like Zoran, who didn't just win, he won in historical numbers. Like he broke records after records. So this is not just a normal race that he won. He's brown, straight from Africa. He's a Muslim. He looks Muslim. He doesn't look like white or nothing. He looks Muslim. And he's a self-proclaimed democratic socialist, which in political this political atmosphere, that's almost killing your own political career if you proclaim to be anywhere close to a socialist. And he won in historic fashion. So, and he didn't have a long political track record like the people he was going up against. Crockett actually has a very impressive track record. So when it comes to this but when it comes to this quote unquote electability, that's not what voters cared about. They only wanted to vote for someone who has a good chance of winning. And they voted for Tallarico only because he's white and he's a Christian. And I believe if Crockett had really bold policies that made you get your attention, she would have won. But she didn't have that.
And I've heard, and it feels like there's almost like people, Tallarico supporters, talking out of two sides of their mouth. Because I've heard some people say Tallarico sounded like a Republican. I don't agree with that. But it's like, well, okay, well, no, Tallarico was more progressive than Crockett. But then it's also like, okay, then what about Tallarico makes you think that, because like I said, electability, which is the same as who would have a better chance at winning, I think that was on the minds of a lot. And the difference between Texas and New York is that in New York, Republicans can't really get in your head about electability, because in New York, a Democrat is most likely going to win anyway. So there was establishment versus progressive, which would be Mamdani versus Cuomo. But in that scenario, you're not worried about, well, who would have a better chance at winning against the Republican, like in this case. So I think I lost my thought.
No, you're good. Well, let me address your first point, because once again, I thought way too long about this. It's not Republican versus Democrat, which isn't the problem in New York. The biggest problem is, like you say, a progressive, a real progressive, a democratic socialist versus the establishment. Why do you think the established Democrats didn't support Mamdani, even though he was favorable of winning the general election? They didn't support him. Why? Because the established Democrats are, I don't want to say they're like Republicans, but they're just a shade different from Republicans. They don't want anyone to really change this political system that we're stuck in. So, and honestly, I would rather go against a Republican than go against my own party, because going against your own people is probably harder, because you can easily point out Republicans and say they're evil, they're racist, they're bigots. That's easy play right there. That's child's play. But going against your own party, that is tough. And in regards to people saying New York is not like Texas, well, tell me, do people starve differently in Texas? Do poor people act differently in Texas versus New York? No. Poor people are poor people everywhere. And if you have attractive policies that will give them hope, they're going to vote for you. I don't care if you're running in Antarctica. The Penguins will vote for you if you have something to offer. But unfortunately, Crockett ran on a very moderate, very centrist policies, just like Tallarico.
Well, I think she didn't talk about her policies enough.
Why didn't she do that? Because it wasn't that interesting.
And I don't think she ran on. and what frustrates me more is when people say, she ran on her race. I don't think she ran on her race either. I heard her say numerous times, I'm a black woman. I died as a black. I'm born as a black. Died, but that's not what I'm running on.
I heard her talk about her race more than her policies. And I
heard her talk about how she fought against Trump.
I watched hours of her interviews. Trust me. I almost got sick on how much she brought this up. I'm like, talk about your policy. She's for Medicare for all. She should have ran that into the ground, but she didn't. I had to read her policy on her website. I didn't even hear it come out of her mouth. That is a problem. If I got to go to your website to see what you're for, but I'm watching all these interviews and you're not bringing this up. But I hear you talk about race. I hear you talk about how they're against the black women, which is true, but you're talking about that more than your policies. That is a problem. But once again,
Do you think?
huh?
Just one more thing, because I know you gotta let me go. Do you think that because the race issue tied into the electability issue, with because there were a couple people who thought, well, a black woman probably can't win Texas, and maybe that's not the safest option. Do you think that this kind of backed Crockett into a corner with the fact that, like I said, so many people's minds, even though I know you're progressive, you're gonna say, well, we progressive, of course we care about policy, and I don't disagree with you, but I know that Democrats in Texas as a whole, so many of their minds were on electability. So, and I think that the electability issue was an issue where Republicans really got their foot in this primary because they could, like, it's different from Republicans in Texas. You have to worry about your own party in a primary and Republicans. In New York, it would really just be that primary. And then after you win that primary, unless you do what somebody does when Andrew Cuomo does, where they choose to run as an independent, you can kind of be a bit sure of yourself.
Yeah.
And Texas is different because you would have to worry about the primary and whoever your Republican opponent may be. But I'm just saying, the race issue, it tied into the electability issue so much. Do you think that's another one where Crockett was sort of backed into a corner?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's
Yeah, honestly, any person of color, but historically, this country has shown us that when you're black, and unfortunately, being dark skinned doesn't help. I'm dark skinned myself. Trust me, I know how that feels. If she was light skinned, maybe she'd have a better chance. I don't know, but her being a dark skinned black woman and boisterous, like, she speaks her mind, and I appreciate that. I grew up in a family where all the women in my family talked like her. So that was nothing new to me. But when that's who you are, you need to go above and beyond whoever you're going against. In life in general, you need to go above and beyond to stand out. And in politics, unfortunately, I got to tie it back, just like you said, policies. Your policies need to speak louder than you are. And once again, unfortunately, until we get more information, maybe I'm wrong. And then maybe there's reporting out there that they just didn't want to vote for her because she's black. Then I'd be wrong. But I would like to think that Democrat voters are not as racist and they just wanted the for sure win. And her policies, I said, if you were to put, and I read their policies back to back, their policies are damn near similar. I almost laughed reading their policies. It's almost the same. So people were voting for who's the safest pick. And unfortunately, her policies didn't stand out as much as I would have liked them to. But once again, I appreciate you calling and having this conversation.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. I didn't get where you're calling from, but tell me where you're calling from and your name.
I'm Chris from Dallas.
Chris from Dallas. Fun fact here, I think my third highest viewing in the US is Texas. Is New York, California, and Texas. So hey,
people are hungry for this progressive content out here.
But what would you like to talk about?
I gotta address a little bit about. I just don't think that there was a solely electability issue with Crockett. Like I've lived in Dallas for 32 years. I forgot that she was running a campaign at times because Tallarico was getting his message out there. He addressed, every question he had with policy. And I just think that really went a long way for him.
Yeah, and you bring that up, and that's a good point. The reason why, and I seen someone in the chat say New York is not like Texas. It doesn't matter. as a politician, you are selling yourself. People in the US, when people are hungry, when people are starving for change, it doesn't matter where you live. People want a material change in their life. And like you said, the reason why Zoran got so much hype at the beginning, and to be honest, I was late to the game, and what caught my attention was his policy stance in Israel. When they were going down the line saying, hey, would you visit Israel? All of them said yeah. But when it got to him, and this is what put him on the map, he said, no, why would I do that? I'm running for New York City. And then that blew up in the news. So I think with her weak stances on current issues like ICE, if she would have said, I want to abolish ICE, I guarantee you that would have made headlines. And like you said, people would not have forgotten that she was running. If she would have said, if Benjamin Netanyahu was to step on American soil, I'm calling for his arrest, that would have made national news. But she refused to say that. And like you say, you forgot that she was running. But sorry to cut you off. Continue.
Kind of lost my train of thought. That was really good back and forth. The issue is, Talarico gives me, he does give me hope that he can get elected and actually make a material change, which is what I've wanted. I've been, we've been under this Republican rule since 99.
Yeah.
So we just need someone to get in there and change how things are done, or at least address some of these things that we're gonna definitely get when we're done with Cornyn. I can't over-explain how excited I am to have the chance to vote him out.
Yeah. And like I said, like I don't ever want to advocate for like as long as you get a Democrat in a seat, things will be better. I always advocate for progressives, but I guess if we want to turn Texas blue, get either Talarico or Crockett. To be honest,
I like both of them.
Yeah, like I said, their policies are virtually the same. I honestly thought they copied one another in their policy because their format on their website is literally the same. I thought it was the funniest thing. But when it comes to, I guess, Medicare for all, Jasmine Crockett was for Medicare for all, not Talarico. So that was one thing that I actually appreciated from Crockett. But other than that, like, I guess as long as we can get somebody in there that is blue and that is willing to do something. And one thing I would ask all Texans, if Talarico does win, let's say we turn Texas blue, I need you guys to stay on his ass. I need you guys to push him to be progressives. Do not let up on this guy. If it seems like he's getting too complacent and too comfortable, vote his ass out the next time. We don't need complacency. Yeah. We don't need moderation. So that's what I would need. But go ahead and finish up. Go for it.
I think I'm just about done. I just wanted to have the back and forth about the different campaigns they ran and how effective that was.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what made this race so interesting. But yeah, hopefully we'll get him in for everybody, for the country, and we can. I plan to hold his feet to the fire. I'll have his office phone on speed dial, so we'll see how we can do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, once again, I appreciate you calling, and you have a good rest of your night.
You too. All right. Bye.
All right. Let's see. Thank you for the $5 super chat. You said Talarico voter here. Both are great. APAC, and I viewed him as the least corporate. Time will tell. Definitely time will tell. Let's see. Let's go with the 414. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Jennifer. I'm calling from Kewaska, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Jennifer from Wisconsin. Tell me what is on your mind.
I was just thinking, as far as I don't want to do the whole black versus white thing. I think the main focus for now is what's done is done. But let's talk about I kind of hate the fact that the Democrats always go with the safe pick
Yeah.
too. And I want to talk about that because that safe pick has always sunk us. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm an independent voter too. And the thing that bothers me is the reason why they pick the safe pick isn't because they want to go more progressive, because I'm a progressive independent voter. It's because they want to appeal to the Republican independent voter. And I don't think that is wise because you end up hurting your Democratic voters. And it doesn't matter if they're Democratic centrist or they're Democratic progressive. When you start sounding like a Democratic Republican, then the voter turnout goes down, right?
Yeah.
And it also forces that independent Republican voter to go, well, I'm not going to vote for you because I was looking for policy change.
Yeah.
That's why I was considering your side, because my side isn't saying anything interesting to me, but maybe your side will.
Yeah.
So it's when they go with that safe pick, it's they just zero out the entire board to me.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I've been advocating for strongly now, because like you say, it's getting to the point to where in this country we don't need the safe pick no more. After Donald Trump's presidency, hopefully sooner than later, but in 3 years, it's gonna take radical policies to get our country back on track and at least
Right.
going the right direction. And playing it safe is not going to cut it. And like you say, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, and the thing is, you need to think about why Republicans won on such a radical person like Trump in the first place. And it's not that I want our people to follow the Trump voters' example, but I want you to listen to what people are saying. They would rather burn down the country and burn it all with them to make change, if that's the case, versus going with their own centrist type Republicans anymore. And so they went far right to do it.
Yeah.
So it's so if people are crying for that desperate of a change because they thought they would get that from Trump, then what do you think? Do you think our side moving to the center is the right answer? Going to the safe zone is the right answer here? No, our side is saying the same thing. We need to radicalize too because we're sick of this. The corruption is horrible on both sides, and we need change.
Exactly. And that's my point. And I live in Colorado. Colorado's I wouldn't say a solid blue, but it's pretty blue. We have Bobert here, which is a headache. But I think people who are desperate for change, poor folks, people who don't have money and savings, barely can make it. They can't find high quality jobs. They live in New York, they live in Texas, they live in Florida, they live in Chicago, they live all over the country. And I think if a politician can be brown, Muslim, a Democratic socialist, I don't think, now of course there's going to be racist people. So that's an obvious, okay? But I think majority of Americans, if you have policies that you can articulate in a way that they can understand, that's going to change their day-to-day lives. I'm not talking about some, pie in the sky type of thing. I'm talking about saying, hey, I'm going to change your living conditions. They're going to vote for you. People are desperate. Like you say, they're so desperate, they fell for a con man. someone who bankrupt casinos. They were that desperate. So I don't understand why
you got
liberals.
the racists in our country are very loudmouth people,
Yeah.
and you have those people, but you've got the quiet ones too, and the quiet ones are going, oh Lord, what did we do? Like, you can see it in their faces. A lot of them are in regret.
Yep.
Do I have faith that those people who voted for Trump are then going to turn around and vote for Democrats? No, I don't. And I think appealing to that is going to sink you. It's going to sink or swim, because these people have their own agenda and their own plan, and it doesn't fit ours, right? It don't even fit the centrist Democrats. I don't think we should write them off, no. But to center your campaign on scooping them up is suicide for the Democrat side. But that's what they're planning to do, because they think that's the safe thing. And like, yes, when you run in for votes, you are to represent all your people, but you have to have good, strong policy. And whoever votes for you, they're voting for you because they believe that you will do something about that policy when you get into office. So if you have either one of these people had strong policy, and both of these are popularist identity politics type people, you need people who are going to do radical change in office. And that means also sort of stopping all the corruption that's happening now when it comes to not just donation dollars from foreign companies, but within the United States, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you definitely said it. And the important thing is, I guess we can try to learn from this moment here, and hopefully towards November, where it starts to count, we can kind of educate people into voting for policies and not voting for a celebrity or voting for someone because they like them. Like, you need to vote for your best interest. And
exactly.
I hope towards the end of this year,
and right
people
now,
can
that
understand
best interest right now, and I think also Democrats need to wake up to this too. The economy is not safe. Like, what they're comparing the economy to is macro depression. But there are other types of depressions that happen in economies, and we are headed towards a very serious depression. That they measure the economy by the stock market, and as long as the GDP prices are up and doing well, they don't see that bottom line can slip out from under them.
Yeah.
But the problem is the GDP prices rose up because of inflation and because of tariffs and because of all this other crazy stuff. And the moment one more disaster hits America, which it could be anything at this point, even something from global warming at this point, you are going to see the economy sort of reverb and crash. And if people do not do something now, our politicians need to do something now. Nobody's going to worry about the Epstein stuff or anything else when they're starving out because they can't afford food or they can't afford to live in their homes, which we're already at that point. But imagine that getting even worse.
Which will suck. But once again, Jennifer, I appreciate you calling and just shooting them facts. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you have a good night.
You too. All right, we'll take one more call. Calling from a 727. What's your name and where are you calling from?
How's it going, man? It's Jeff.
Hey, Mr. Jeff with an X? Is that Hey. What's going on, Jeff?
And I've been hearing a lot of people talking about the Talrico Crockett primary, and it's piqued my interest too. Man, it's like, where do I even start with this? Like, boy, because I heard people were saying, for starters, that she was a black woman, and I do think it can play a role. Obviously, I do think there is that hurdle that you have to overcome, and it sucks. I think that's one factor to put in, but I think that hurdle can also be overcome. He
Yeah.
also did say too that their policies are very similar. But can I add a few other things though?
Yeah,
Can I add
yeah,
like
go
a
for
few
it.
for it? So even when I was watching the debate, between them, between Talrico and Crockett, I did recognize some fundamental differences. Like, okay, Talrico was presenting Medicare for all. Jasmine didn't really say too much about that. She was saying more like subsidizing more the HCA and making affordable insurances, basically working through the fine lines of the Affordable Care Act. And to be honest, the ACA for me is not good enough. The second thing is addressing the Israel issue, because now that the Israel issue is becoming a really big topic in the current political climate. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people say they may not care, but honestly, when Talrico said, "Oh, he recognizes it as a genocide," and Crockett didn't say anything about that, that kind of also deducted some points. Because if you think about it, it's like, yes, is it nice when I hear Jasmine Crockett talk mad shit about Trump or Marjorie Taylor Greene? Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
great to me. Years. But you can't do that and then like not say anything about Benjamin Netanyahu, which is like infinitely worse. So
Yeah.
then while also going on a trip to Israel. So my point is that like if you do not initiate like a form of left-wing economic populist agenda, you're not going to win a lot of people over. Let me give you an example, because I was like watching this election. I've been interested in this election, particularly in the North Carolina primary for the Democratic primary. It was Valerie Foushee and Nida Alam. I don't know if you've been watching that one, but the results are like at 99% that they still haven't found the winner yet. I think Valerie Foushee is winning, even though like it's a very close race, and Nida Alam is like almost about like 1,200 votes behind. But the point is like this is a Muslim woman in North Carolina, but I think like her policies are more left economic populist. And what I'm trying to say is that I feel like if you're able to run a more economic populist left agenda, you will have a huge advantage. I would say.
Yeah.
I think it would be much more advantageous to win, and it would make the race a lot closer. I think even in Texas, there was a candidate that was running on like he was like a Bernie-crat that won one of the special elections. I think it was for the Texas House Congress. I don't know the exact election, but I remember he won by quite a bit of numbers. Like I think like 10 or over 10 points, and he was and that was a Trump county. It's just one of the examples, but I think if like listen, if Jasmine Crockett would have ran a economic left populist agenda, I would have told her screw the Senate seat, run for president. That would be
Yeah.
my opinion. Like I would just tell her forget the Senate seat, just run for president. But I think those differences is probably what caused her to like lose the vote. Like that caused her to lose the primary. It's one fundamental thing that got her to lose the primary. And that little attack ad that they did for Talrico, the one where
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I seen
that
that one.
basically all the pieces. So I was like, I don't think that was a good move. I think that might have actually helped some of the independents. Like, I don't know, like that might have made them look less liberal. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think in regards to her attack ads, and like I said, I listened to honestly, to be honest, I listened to more Crockett interviews than I did Talarico because one, Talarico is dry. He is kind of boring to listen to, so I'm not gonna even front here. It was kind of boring, but I listened to a
Yeah.
lot of Crockett interviews. One, she rarely talked about Talarico. Only really towards the end she did, but she would always talk about Trump and going against Trump. And it's like, you're running for Senate. You need to be talking about Tallarico, not in a disrespectful way, but how you're a better candidate than him and what you're going to do for your constituents. But she will always, like, even her first ad where she didn't say anything, she just looked at the camera, it was Trump's voice talking. And I'm like, you're running for Senate. You're not running against Trump. So what are you doing? And so
Yeah.
like I was just kind of confused, but I heard, from the video that I played earlier, I got to double check this because it would be crazy, but she didn't have a campaign manager. It's like, I never ran for office. Okay, so I don't know the ins and outs, but I would think it would be important to have structure. You need that.
Team, yeah, you have to have a good team. You have to have a
Yeah,
good
and
team
it's
to
like I
notify
don't
you.
I don't understand a lot of things that happen. And once again, it's not like Tallarico did something amazing. I think with Trump in what is it, the not the RCC, what is the institution that oversees like the media, shoot, but yeah,
The
where
you're
they,
talking about the FCC.
yeah, the
I think that
FCC,
was
there you go.
yeah.
Yeah, when the FCC tried to attack Stephen Colbert and the James Tallarico situation, I think that helped Tallarico adjacently. I don't think they really tried to help, but it kind of backfired, and I think that gave him more of a household name at that point. But in my opinion, she could have really beat Tallarico because one, she's more energetic, she's more interesting to listen to, but I think she just didn't have anything to run on except for, I'm a fighter, I don't like Donald Trump, and I'm
Not
black.
enough. Yeah, no, but the thing, like, it's not enough to even like attack Trump. Like, okay, go on one or two jabs here and there, but you're gonna need a little bit more. Again, just add more economic left populism, and I think Tallarico was just slightly better on that issue. Like, he added a little more economic left populism. Like, I'm just saying, with like the Medicare for all and taxing the billionaires, like addressing the class politics. Like, it's not about left versus right, it's up versus down. Like,
Yeah.
that was a little bit of a good strategy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know he's boring, he's dry, and I get that. Yeah, I totally understand that, and that's the whole point. That actually that also proves my point that if you run on that messaging, you will have a good advantage. That will help you. That will definitely help you and not hinder.
Yeah.
And obviously, in the billionaire class, like, that's the thing. It's like you can't just get money from crypto donors, and then who was it? It was Lockheed Martin. Yeah, she also got endorsed. She also got money from Lockheed Martin, like literally a weapons manufacturing company.
Yeah.
Like, you that there's gonna hemorrhage it in today's political climate with the way things are going. That's gonna hurt you. Like, just bottom line, like, you have to just like take the L, like reflect, and then move on, and then maybe just try to run something better. But she'll be fine, I think, regardless.
Yeah. Well, shoot. Well, once again, it's Jeff with the next. I appreciate you calling, and shoot, call in whenever I got the phone lines open.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too.
The Jazzy girl. Hey, yes, she did talk about her being a black woman way too much. Once again, I'm pretty sure I watched more Jasmine Crockett interviews than you did, and that was like 80% of her conversation. So, I mean, don't sit here and try to play dumb here. I was gonna pick up your call. Let's see. K. I hope this is K. Let's see. Is this K in the chat? I seen you say how can I call? Is this you?
Oh yeah, I got it.
Okay, perfect. You are the last caller of the day. So
Oh,
shoot. Where are you calling
yeah, I
from?
got it. Let me take it off the speaker 1 minute. Oh, Florida.
Florida. Hey,
hmm
Kay from Florida. Shoot, what would you like to talk about?
Oh, well, so first I wanted to say the whole thing about that interview with Colbert
Yeah.
was the FCC never contacted them and told them that they could not do the interview. What happened was, and I think that the Democratic Party is behind this. I think that they kind of set her up because it's clear that the establishment never wanted her in the first place, and they probably just felt that Talarico could win because white, Christian, or whatever. Because even Obama, he was speaking very highly of him. He did not endorse Jasmine, and the way he spoke of Talarico was as if he wanted to endorse him.
So
So,
why did Harris endorse
well,
Crockett?
Harris and Obama are not even on the same page. I don't know if like you read there was a book that was written by someone in the party. It was a male and a man and a woman. I don't remember, but one of the books that were written about her presidential race was that Obama didn't want to endorse Kamala. He didn't feel that she could win. So I don't know, like why people. I feel like people aren't really paying attention to how the Democrat Party works. Ever since they rigged the primaries against Bernie Sanders, I've been watching them, and they're snakes. Like they snake each other all the time. So it doesn't matter that she's black if they don't feel like she could win. All that matters is that they don't think that she could win, and I think that's what happened. So that interview, the FCC never contacted them. The FCC had contacted The View when The View had him on. And so the lawyers from CBS told Colbert that if he wanted to interview Tarico, he has to interview Jasmine. It's called, I think, the Equal Time Act or something like that.
Yeah.
Colbert decided not to interview Jasmine. That's what happened. He could have interviewed both of them. But what happened is he'd have to give all of the candidates equal time. He chose not to do that. So to throw it on Trump is just them trying to throw everybody off and trying to make it look like that's not what happened. He could have just interviewed her and aired it, and he would have been fine. But he chose not to do that.
So let me ask you this, and I've heard that. I forget where I think another political commentary brought that up, and my thing is, I don't think it really matters. I don't think Stephen Colbert is the end all be all. If you don't get that interview with him, you're not gonna win your campaign. I don't.
Right.
Once again, I think what got Talarico the headlines is the
Mm-hmm.
situation. I don't think people
Absolutely.
cared enough about, oh my God, Talarico's on Stephen Colbert. I gotta watch this. No, people just wanted the tea. People just
I
wanted the gossip.
1000% agree. It's called
At
the
the end of the
Streisand
day.
effect.
So
Yeah, it's called the Streisand effect. It's so once you tell people they can't do something, but what I'm saying is Colbert and them, I think they played it up that way for a reason. It was a strategy. So I don't think he just didn't know. He knew what he was doing because he could have easily just said, "Look, I don't want to interview Jasmine." Why didn't he bring up the fact that that's really what happened? So I'm just trying to show that I do think that the because even when Jasmine would go up for different positions in the party, different committees, they would tell her that they were going to vote for her and they would not vote for her. I don't know if you remember, she went up for like 2 committee positions and all the people that said that they would vote for her didn't vote for her. And so she never got on those committees that she wanted to get on. So the party was never really rocking with her, but I just don't think a lot of people realize that because I don't think they're really paying attention to the fact that, even though we have the CBC, things are not as tight as people think behind the scenes. And so it's very obvious because why wouldn't the people that told her that they were going to vote for her for the committee position?
Yeah.
They voted for some Hispanic guy.
So what do you think was a large portion of why she lost? Do you think, like from what I hear, do you think it's an inside job by the Democratic Party?
I think it's all of the contributing factors. I think she did not. First of all, what policies did she present to people? She never came out and said, you know, she doesn't really have any accomplishments in Congress, but she doesn't. She could just say she's pushing this bill and that bill. What the main thing that I think got her was her attachment to AIPAC, because people would say, well, she took AIPAC funding. And I didn't see any AIPAC funding. What I did see is that she did support arming them. She did support, you know, basically AIPAC-friendly bills. And she was confronted by Michael Tracy about that like a year ago. And so the thing about it is, how are you going to say you're going to stand up for people that are oppressed and you're voting for people to oppress others? It doesn't. So I think that took her out. That was a big thing that they used against her in the progressive sphere. And the fact that she was taking corporate PAC money and Talrico supposedly was not in this race. And so even though she kind of like tried to say she wasn't, but then she got caught transferring funds. So I think that, you know, that she didn't have a strong policy position to say, well, I support these progressive policies, even though they were trying to present her as progressive. Talrico came off as a progressive. And so I think that in and of itself was a problem for her, because she couldn't shake. She just wasn't she wasn't telling you anything besides, I'm Trump.
Yeah.
We need a vision from Democrats. You all just being against Trump doesn't matter. So what if you could fight against Trump? What does that matter? Y'all are fighting against Trump, but what policies are you pushing? None of that matters at this point, because you're not getting anything done.
Yeah,
people need someone that can get something done.
That is number one to me. Like you said, and I've been saying this. You know, I probably made just a few videos of Crockett. And every single time, and I wasn't going too hard on her, but every single time I'm asking, where's the policies? Where's the policies? I want some bold policies, because everyone's telling me she's a progressive and I wanted to see it, but I would never hear that from her. All I'm hearing is her attacking Trump or her attacking other Republicans. And like you say, it's like, okay, can you please talk about what you're going to do for Texans?
Right.
Yeah. So once again, I think hopefully, maybe not. It's probably not it's going to be any real look at this situation from Democratic voters looking at this and taking this lesson in regards to the midterm. Because if people are still stuck on voting for who they like because they're cool, or they say some pretty crazy things on camera and still continue to overlook the policies, then I think we're going to continue to get more lukewarm people into office that have really nothing to offer, and we're just going to be repeating this cycle. So,
and the Democrat Party in and of itself is running the same playbook. They've been running on Trump is bad for 10 years now. And Trump has consistently, he's gotten more and more of the black vote every single time he's ran, and more of the Hispanic vote. So it's just like, at this point, what are you all doing? You're losing the black vote. You're losing. Kamala got less of the black vote than Biden and Hillary. People don't want to talk about that, but that's really what happened. So what are they doing to fix things? They don't want to come out with the autopsy and tell you why they lost, so they don't want to fix anything. So it's the same thing. Jasmine had the same strategy as Democrats. Trump bad, Trump bad. That's not going to work, y'all. They have to figure out something else. What's your vision? What are the policies that you're going to, what are you going to do to help people? That's what people need to hear, because we already know who Trump is and what he is. They've elected him 2 times despite everything that y'all have said. So now y'all have to come up with, what are you going to do for the people? That is what's important. And she did not do that.
Exactly. And I think that is a good note to end the last call. And once again, I appreciate you calling and expressing yourself. And once again, when I have the phone lines open, feel free to call and we can continue this conversation.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. All right, guys. It is about that time.
Yeah, let's see how you do under pressure. I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra. Fuck with me, you know that I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip to the islands. We on the jet, we'll do more than just fly on it. Stand on that hill, you gon' die on it. Boom, boom. Baby, I'm not one of them, you should try on it. Miss me with all that, I'm on to the next. Fuck this up, I send you back to your ex, but good luck with that.